Okay, so I am doing a live on Multifamily Monday, and I'm going to go over again what it looks like the multifamily area, multifamily market, housing market, real estate market in Des Moines, Iowa. So this is live. So before I really dig in, I'm going to wait just a little bit, see if anyone jumps on. So if you are here and you are watching this, if you have any questions throughout this, please comment and we will go over those questions. If nobody comments, I will just continue to go through what multifamily properties look like, and both the market and analyzing deals, what's on the market, what's not on the market, what is sold, all that good stuff. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Darson Grantham. I'm a real estate agent and investor here in Des Moines, Iowa. My broker is Keller Williams. Although I am a real estate agent, that's not why I'm posting these videos. I just like to educate other investors on the Des Moines area, the Des Moines market, and specifically in the rental property, investment property scene in the, I'd say 2 units up to probably 50 units would be what it kind of be my sweet spot would be. So if it's above 50 units, yes, I can handle it. It's just a numbers game. But it's just, there's a couple other much more intricate details that would not be in my kind of zone of expertise. And I'd probably bring someone in along. But those 2 to 50 units properties, I've done quite a few of them and definitely know the lay of the land of central Iowa and that market. So let's see here. I'm just going to say, everyone, ask questions if you have them as I go through. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to first off, for those of you who don't know, so I am an investment. I'm an investor, mostly buy and hold. I do flips. I do BRRRR properties. I've done it myself. I help a lot of investors buy properties in Des Moines, Iowa. And so analyzing deals is something that I've done pretty extensively. And so one of the questions that I get from a lot of investors is like, what can I what can I expect for properties in Des Moines? What do they rent for? What does that look like? And it's tough for me to really give them what they're looking for without asking them a few questions. So if you're watching this and you're from out of state, out of Iowa, and you're trying to figure out what properties look like and what they rent for and what you can buy them for, this will be a perfect video. If you're from Des Moines and you are waiting on that perfect property, the properties that I'm going to go through today are not, they are not home run deal properties, and very rarely, and I'll be the first to admit it, on the MLS, which is what I'm going to look at today, is you're not going to see a lot of home run investment properties. You're probably not going to see any, otherwise they would have already been purchased. But what there are is a lot of base hits, a lot of, if you're just looking to, you're not trying to replace your income with cash flow and you're looking for a good stable property, good tenants, good area at a reasonable price, and I say reasonable, I'd say under $300,000, you can find properties that they might not meet the 1% rule where your $1,000 of rent is a $1,000 property or per unit, but it's going to come pretty close, $1,000 a month property in rent then sells for $100,000 a unit. You can usually find something real close to that, if not a little bit better, depending on the property, maybe a little bit not quite as good. Maybe you're 0.9, 0.8%. So, and I'll dig into those numbers, what they mean here in just a little bit. But let's dig in. I'm going to do, and again, this is a segment I'm going to go live. I'm going to do it every single Monday that I can, that I'm in the office around the 11:30 to 12:30 timeframe. And what it's going to do is we're going to go through what in the market has sold, what is currently active, maybe what's went pending, and then I'll analyze a few deals just so you have a good idea of what properties on market and how, quite frankly, how I analyze deals and I educate my investors and clients on just what what does deal analyzing consist of, and how long can it take? How long does it take? What assumptions are we putting in play? What is utilities, and just the various investor assumption questions. So let's dig in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, this is the MLS, which is the, let's see here. Let's go back. Screen share, that would help. So we're going to screen share. We're going to go to this. Here we go. So this is the MLS, and what the MLS is, the multiple listing service. So all real estate agents have access to this. And what we can do in this is we can dig into what properties are for sale, what properties have sold. It's all of the data of properties that have sold with an agent on market. It might be properties that have sold between two agents off market, then they hit the market. That's kind of called a pocket deal, which is possible that they're going to come in here, but this is not going to consist of any for sale by owners that did not involve a real estate agent. It's not going to list very many larger commercial deals. So in the commercial world, sometimes the commercial agents will not list their properties on the residential MLS, which is the matrix. That's what we use. And this is going to be foreign to you. You as a consumer are not going to see this website. You don't have access to it. It's only for licensed real estate agents. But in that, we can search. So one of the things we'll do is we'll go to multifamily, quick search. And so as you can see, we got lots of options here. And just to narrow things down a little bit, we're going to do only Polk County. And that results into 21 properties that are actively listed for sale in Polk County, right? And so we'll just dig into that. And 21 is actually lower than what it's been in months past. So you can tell, there isn't a huge number of properties, not a huge number of choices of properties for sale. But you can see they range for $5 million, which is a larger apartment complex, 36 units. And it goes down to a duplex for $75,000 in one of the urban areas of kind of just to the east of the Drake area. But let's see here. So this gives you a really good idea. What isn't on here is days on market. Oh, list date. So we have list date. As you can see, there are a few that one was listed in September, a handful were August, handful plus in July, 4 in June, 1 in May, and 2 in April, right? So everyone always asks, what about those 2 in April? Why wouldn't they sell them already? Surely they're going to take a good deal. So let's just dig into this because I've done this one before. 2615 Cottage Grove. You see he's listed for 215, 5 units. So this is a 5-plex. So first thing I think of is because it's 5 units, you're instantly removing a segment of the buyers. And when I say that, it's because when you have 5 units, you have to buy a commercial property, right? And so when you buy a commercial property, just make sure I don't have any comments. So when you buy a commercial property, you can't get your residential 30-year fixed financing. You have to get commercial financing. And although that can be done, it's not impossible. It's a different kind of financing that some investors can't or aren't going to do because they have a relationship with a residential investor. The flip side, another side of that is you're not going to have someone who is going to live in this apartment or live in one of these units and rent out the others, because you can't buy, again, residential financing. You can't buy a 5-plex with residential financing. It's only 2 units, 3 units, and 4 units that you can buy multifamily residential alone with. So keep that in mind. That when you're at that 5 unit mark, you are limiting the number of people that are going to be able to buy your property if you're the seller. And if you're buying, you just have to know that there's some different quirks. So we'll dig in a little bit further. This property, you can tell it's a conversion. So it used to be a house, and it's split up into 5 units, 1 2-bedroom, 2 1-bedrooms, and 2 efficiencies. Built in 1908, been on the market 145 days, has not had any price decreases. Okay, so it came on, no, one price decrease. So 12 days into it, had a price decrease back in May. They listed at 225, came down to 215, and that was in May. I have not had a decrease since then. This property falls out of listing contract on October 21st. So if you think about that, the listing agent is going to have some motivation to try to sell that, try to really push that for a sale before that time frame, because after that time frame, they no longer have the contract to sell. Now, they might have a good relationship with the owner, and the owner will relist with them. It's possible, but just keep in mind, there's sometimes you see that motivation. I'd be kind of in the used car dealership world. I've heard of this. I've never been told it personally by a used car salesman, but at the end of the month, or end of the quarter, they're trying to get rid of all the cars that have been on the lot for 90 plus days. So end of a quarter or end of a month, however their fiscal period is set up, but trying to get rid of as many cars, and they're really, really trying to push them. And this is kind of that same scenario of there's a deadline of when the agent is going to be able to get paid, and so they're going to increase that motivation. Don't know if that's the case, but take that in consideration. One of the things I want to look at here is what are the rents. So it's not saying, at least not on the front end, what the expenses are. So it looks like buildings, electric's the owner and electric's the tenant, gas the owner, taxes owner, water's the owner. So in this scenario, you have probably one furnace, so one gas, and that's for all the units. So that's one bill paid for by the owner, and then water for all of the units. There's one water meter, so water is paid for by the owner. So all the tenants, none of them have water to pay for, none of them have heat to pay for, but they do have their own electric. So your summertime is when the utility bill is going to be lower for these units than their winter time. Other things that I'm seeing here. Okay, so in the description, it does say $2,900 in gross monthly rent. It does not say how that's broken down. We'll see if any of those documents are here. It does say some lease info. Here we go. Here's how it breaks down. Unit 1, 675, 2 is 500, and it's open. So that looks like that's a vacant one. And you have this one who might be open, might be rented by now by the time they've updated this document. So all of them are past the lease expiration date. So it's possible that they're all month to month, or they've re-signed leases. 400 for a studio, that's pretty low. 500 for a studio, that's probably reasonable depending on what this studio looks like. I've been through quite a few of these conversion properties, and anytime there's a studio, it means it's probably a little quirky. It's not just your studio. It is studio less a few other maybe odd things about the property. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so what this tells me, $2,900 versus an asking price of $215. So that's over the 1% rule. A lot of people will see that and say, oh, that's a really good deal. Well, let's back it up a little bit. You're going to have gas that needs to be paid for by the owner. You're going to have water paid for by the owner. So those two things probably going to be $300-400 a month. So that brings the $2,900 down to, let's say, $2,500. And so $2,500 a month at a $215 asking price, that's not that bad. That's not too bad. The next thing you're going to think about is, what are the capital expenditures? So I can just look right here. The roof actually looks newer. The windows they look older. It doesn't look like those are newer vinyls. They might be newer vinyls. Those aren't. It's a little dirty, but that's pretty expected at this price point. Smaller kitchen, expected. You can see stucco walls. So any wall repair you're going to do is going to be exponentially a pain in the butt because it's stucco or plaster, instead of drywall. So keep that in mind. And you can kind of see right there. So you can see that's a straight wall, and then this one's curved. That's the cutout, the quirkiness of when you take a house that was built to live in by one family and you break it down into 5 different components. You have kind of quirky layouts. There you go. You can tell that looks like a pretty small little entryway into the bathroom. Let's see here. That might even be like a vaulted ceiling in the bathroom. So you stand up from the toilet and whack your head on the ceiling. Just little quirks like that. Not the end of the world, but it's something just to know you're not going to get real high end rent. And this looks like a kitchen, and that's needs some work. It's looking like no cupboard doors, so it might not be rent ready on all accounts. Yeah. So that 215 is a little deceiving because it's going to take, I mean, just from those pictures right there, it's going to take another ten to $15,000 would be my guess to get it to a point where you feel good about renting it and you feel good about the tenants you have coming in. Yeah, you could probably put lipstick on a pig, but I would not buy a property planning for that. So you're putting that at a 225, 230 price point, and you're at $2,500 a month in rent. And so with that, you're just over the 1% rule, which is good, except when you take into consideration it's a conversion. And most conversions are selling above the 1% rule. So if you're looking for straight cash flow in Des Moines, Iowa, I would look at conversion properties. Now, the thing about conversions is it's possible that you're going to have higher expenses, higher repairs, because when you convert a property and you put plumbing in places where plumbing wasn't originally meant to be, or electricity in places it wasn't originally meant to be, you're going to have some quirks and weird handyman stuff. So whenever you do projects on conversion properties, it's usually going to cost you a little bit more. But I'd say, I mean, this property, it's not a bad looking property. It's in a really good area. Area that's, I say really good. It's in an area that is really getting better. I just sold one last year. I just sold this one right here for right around the same price point. And it was a 5-unit, very similar. It did have two bedrooms. It got around $3,000 square foot, or $3,000 a month in rent. But yeah, pretty good little property. It did look a little bit bigger than the one that's listed currently. That one at 20, whatever one we were looking at, 2615 Cottage Grove. So that's my analysis on this one. I think it's a good little property. I'm kind of surprised I have not walked it, actually. I'm kind of surprised it's still sitting. But at this point, I think putting some offers in there might get you somewhere. Let's see what else we got. Any questions? No questions. And I'm going to imagine this is going to take some time to get people on here and see that we're live and all that good stuff. But I'm going to try to continue to do them every Monday. So if you have questions even during the week and you're like, hey, I watched your Multifamily Monday, I've got this question, can you address it on your next live? I'm happy to do that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Something we recently listed. Here we go. Here's one. It's a little bit different type property. So we got 4220 Franklin Avenue. So this is a both 2 bedrooms. So 2 units, 2 bedrooms, each unit. Looks like a brick ranch. I believe this is, I got a walkout or not. A little bit, not a walkout, but 2 tuck under garages in the back, which is actually pretty rare. Most duplexes that are side by side like this don't have a garage, or definitely don't have a tuck under attached garage. So that's pretty cool. Not necessarily a walkout. This is one, looks like a shared exit door. So I'd imagine there's a door right here and a door right here from each unit, and they go to that main hallway. It might even be a situation where they have a shared basement down to the garages. I have not walked this property either, but that'd be my guess. I do like that it's brick. One of the things I like about a brick property is that you have very little exterior maintenance. You don't have to replace a brick. You have to clean it, but you don't have to paint it. So that's pretty nice. Can't really tell if the roof is new. Here we got hardwood floors. Looks like they look new and shiny, but this stain in the middle, I'm not sure what that is. Let's see here. Pretty clean. Looks like some newer cabinets. They're definitely not originals. That's some older carpet. You can tell right there. I bet this is a 50s house. Yeah, 58. That's funny. That when I bought my house, my personal house is a 1950s house, and the bathroom is the same color of pink everywhere. Yep. So it's going to need new carpet, old fixtures, which those aren't hard to fix, or are hard to update. The problem with this property, and I can just tell you right now, is the price point. $259 is the price point, and it does not say what the rents are. Each unit's 900 square feet. Let's see if they have rents in here. No rents. No rents listed. So that's actually one of my big pet peeves about multifamily is if you don't put the rents in there, man, that's tough for us agents to help our investors evaluate a property. So then you're going to leave me up to guess what rents are. And so what I'll do on this, just to prove my point, is if rents at a 2-bedroom, 1 bath each side, is $1,000 a month, and I think that might be a little high for what I'm seeing in this property, but let's say they really like this area. Let's see if the area is different than what I was thinking. It's a good area, so $1,000 might be reasonable. We'll say $1,000. I don't think it's going to be above that. So $1,000 per side gets you at $2,000 a month of gross rental income. I don't believe that utilities are paid for by the owner. I know that the gas and electric are not paid for by the owner. Water would be the only one where I'd be questioning whether this is owner paid. One of the things about this property, though, is it is Beaverdale, so that's what the reason for the high price tag. A lot of people love the Beaverdale area. It's a good, quaint little area. Whether it's worth this $259, it's clearly not worth it because it's been on the market 35 days. But it could be a possibility. Say you get rent of $1,000 on each side, and if you could get that for closer to 200, how close you can get to 200 would be the question. But you see the price point is above the gross rent, where on that conversion property, the gross rent, even after taking in utilities, was above your purchase price. So that's kind of just in general a big difference about built for purpose, which is this duplex we're looking at right now, versus the conversion and that we looked at earlier. So yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about this property. It does look like it says it's tenant occupied, even though the pictures look vacant. So it's possible they have tenants in each side. It's a ranch. Ranches, again, there's no stairs, so that's always a plus above a lot of others. Yeah. So it gives me about, been on here about, 20, 30 minutes and went over 2 properties. Let's look at, so these are all the actives. Let's change this over to sold. I'm going to do sold in the last 7 days. Let's see where things have gone. Okay, so 7 days only got 1. Let's do 14. 3 houses, 3 properties. Perfect. I love this. So we have Park Place. This property was actually listed for sale by, maybe not. No, it wasn't. Wow. This is confusing. This sold in 6 days and they took a price at well below asking. Well below asking. That was a heck of a buy. They bought that at 187. That was a good. I mean, I didn't lock this, but it's a cool property for 187. Man, that's a good deal. Okay, so let's see here. 2-bed. There's not 4 2-beds. There's 4 bedrooms, I'm guessing. So again, this is a duplex, brick duplex. Let's see what other pictures we have. I don't think we have any interior pictures. Nope, no interior pictures. Can't really tell much about the property. There isn't much details on it. So the interesting thing about this is it hit the market and it sold really fast, but it had no data around it. So this agent, she listed a handful of properties through that were owned by this trust, and the good ones got gobbled up. Here we go, gross income, $1,350. So $1,350, I would say that's on the low end if you have two bedrooms in this neighborhood, which would be really close to downtown in a pretty desirable neighborhood. And so anything below $700 a unit is for a 2-bedroom. I mean, that's low, especially in this neighborhood. So I think that could be real close to 1900, which puts this at the 1% deal on a built for purpose. That's a really, I mean, I can't say this enough. That's a good purchase. So kudos for them. Let's see what else we got. Here's another ranch side by side. And this is funny, list price $195 and it sold for $205, 2 bedrooms. I'm guessing this is a little bit bigger, but interesting. $850 and $675 are the 2 rents. Agent says they're below market value. Yeah, so it gives you an idea. So rents, even if they're both at 900, and so it's $1,800 a month, and you bought it for $205, you're not hitting the 1% rule on this duplex. You're coming close, but you're not hitting the 1% rule. And that's if it goes to if there's any other repairs that need done, you're well above that 1% rule. But built in 72, probably a pretty solid foundation, just because it hasn't, it's not 1900s foundation. Who knows? Can't see any interior photos. And then the last one just got sold. This was actually a new rehab. Been on the market for a little while, 56 days. And it sold for $236. They listed it at $250. And this is a conversion, but it's a little different type of conversion because it was all redone recently. Each unit rents for $900 and tenants cover all of the utilities. So that's awesome. The problem is it sold for $236. And if your rents are $900 each, that's $1,800 total. And so you're well under that 1% rule. So again, if I can't stress this enough, getting that 1% rule in Des Moines on small multifamily is really tough. Can be done, but it's really tough. It's not normal to see that done. Okay, well, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Again, I'm going to try to do this every Monday. And we will we'll try to go over some properties that have sold, properties that have been listed, newly listed, properties that maybe went pending. Anything that you need to know about multifamily Monday, I'm going to go over those, and I'm going to live stream it probably around the 11:30 to 12:30 time frame. If that changes, I will let you know. But if you are interested and want to have some banter back and forth, ask questions, jump on. Love to have you on, and we can live stream and share some banter back and forth. So thank you. Until next time, peace out.